Chapter 10 The Love of Chi Tâm and Anh Thông. 1967 Flashback. After our beloved brother Nguyễn Thanh Nhan has died in the heat of the Vietnam War in 1967, leaving a hollow ache that touched every corner of our heart. For Chi Thanh Tâm, life felt unsteady. Anh Nhan had been more than a brother. He had been a guide, a protector, a confidant. His absence left her carrying a burden of grief she could hardly share. But during the mourning years, a new spark of romance came in her life, a new beginning of her love story, and a new chapter of her life. This is how it began. A gentle present. It began after Anh Nhan's death. It was that shadow of grief that Anh Thông, a young inspector with Air Việt Nam, came into her life. His role was professional at first. He represented Vietnam Airlines in assisting the family after Nhan's death. But his presence carried something more: quiet understanding, attentiveness, and empathy. Anh Thông helped coordinate the delivery of the motorcycle and a television to Đà Lạt. These gestures, while practical, were laden with care. For Chi Thanh Tâm, it was in these small, thoughtful acts that her heart first recognized something extraordinary. Meeting of the two souls. Their first encounter had been brief, almost coincidental, yet it left an impression that neither could forget. Anh Thông calm, respectful demeanor contrasted with the chaos that surrounded the Nguyễn family. He listened more than he spoke, and when he acted, it was with precision and care. Chi Thanh Tâm, drawn to his quiet strength, felt the connection that went beyond the ordinary. Each interaction afterward deepened their bond. Anh Thông did not attempt to speak away her grief. He met it with understanding. He did not offer empty words of comfort. He acted with thoughtfulness. This created a subtle intimacy, a recognition of each other's souls beyond appearances or polite conversation. Small gestures, big meaning. Love between them grew quietly, woven in small moments. Thông attentiveness, checking in on the family, ensuring the television and the motorcycle were delivered safely, and offering practical advice on how to set it up. His unwavering help to the family became a symbol of care that resonated deeply in Chi Thanh Tâm. It was in these moments that she felt seen. The sorrow of losing Nhan, the weight of family responsibilities, the uncertainty of life in wartime, all were met not with judgment, but with quiet, unwavering support. For Chi Thanh Tâm, love was no longer a concept, it was a life experience formed with understanding, compassion, and steady presence. Share understanding. Even when apart, their thoughts seemed to linger in tandem. Chi Thanh Tâm would think of Anh Thông while flying high above the landscapes of Vietnam, navigating her duties as a flight attendant with pause and courage. She recalled the times he had come to Đà Lạt, his careful attention to the family's needs, his discreet ways of lightening burdens with his charm. For Anh Thông, every action he took was imbued with respect and admiration. He understood that grief could not be rushed, that love could not be demanded. It was a matter of patience, of quiet observation, and being present in ways that matter most. The intimacy of care, their connection became a private, intimate language of gestures and glances, a shared smile across the family gathering, a word spoken softly while arranging the household, a moment of silence acknowledged without pressure. These were the threads that wore their hearts together. Love grew not in dramatic declarations, but in steady, consistent intimacy of sharing understanding. Chi Thanh Tâm began to feel that life, even with its uncertainties, held warmth and safety in the presence of Anh Thông. Anh Thông recognized in her strength, temper with vulnerability, a heart capable to love, compassion, and resilience. A traditional engagement at home. The engagement, though quiet in its emotional intimacy, unfolded with the timeless beauty of the Vietnamese tradition. At 21st 1 Yat Sen Street in 1971, the family home that had witnessed Chi Thanh Tâm childhood joys and sorrows, the air was alive with anticipation. Early in the morning, neighbors and relatives lined the street watching as men carefully carry gifts, fruits, betel leaves, tea, and red lacquer boxes toward the house. Each step echoed with ceremony, each arrangement carefully prepared to honor both families and their shared future. The courtyard of the house was transformed into a stage of elegance and warmth. Lanterns hung from the eaves, swaying gently in the cool Dalat breeze. With the smell of incense and fresh flowers fill the air, the gifts arrive one by one, carried solemnly with care, each a symbol of respect, prosperity, and the promise of union. The red and gold envelopes glimmer under the soft sunlight, reflecting tradition, hope, and joy of the occasion. Inside, the family receiving the offerings with quiet reverence. Father, dignified and proud, guided the proceedings with a calm authority. Mother, radiant in her aoyai, moved gracefully among the visitors, eyes glistening with tears of happiness. The younger siblings, excited and curious, but only allowed to share energy to the serene ceremony with silence. This traditional engagement, with its ritual and symbolism, created a beautiful, romantic atmosphere. Chi Thanh Tâm, standing in the house where she had grown up, felt a deep sense of belonging, not only to Thông, but to the generations of her family, to the streets of Dalat, and to the love that had grown quietly between them. The strength of mutual respect that bound them together was more than affection, it was respect. Anh Thông never sought to overshadow Chi Thanh Tâm grief, her independence. He offered support without intrusion, guidance without pressure, and care without expectation. She, in return, recognized his sincerity, integrity, and the quiet courage it took to navigate life amid the uncertainties of war. Their love became a sanctuary, a refuge from sorrow and chaos. In each other, they found the rare experience of being truly understood, accepted, and valued. a bond beyond words. As weeks turned into months, their love deepened silently. It was a bond not defined by ceremonies, words, or public recognition, but in the mutual presence of attentiveness, and had carried them through the hardest moments. The motorcycle and the television were tangible tokens of care, but the true foundation of their relationship was intangible empathy, shared understanding, and unwavering support. Even in the midst of ongoing war and uncertainty, Chi Thanh Tâm and Anh Thông hearts were aligned. Their souls, having met in times of grief, had chosen to grow together quietly and profoundly in a love that needed no declaration to be real, a quiet hope for the future. Under the soft evening light in the lot, the family continued their routines, the house filled with a mixture of memories, grief, and a small joys. Yet for Chi Thanh Tâm, there was now a subtle warmth that had not been there before. She felt understood, supported, and in a gentle way cherished and in love. For Anh Thông, every act of care reaffirmed his feelings, building a deep connection that went beyond words. Together, they discovered that love could grow quietly, intimately, and powerfully, rooted not in dramatic gestures, but in the courage to be present for one another during the most difficult times. And so, amid the scent of pie and the soft glow of lanterns in the late night, the love of Chi Thanh Tâm and Anh Thông flourished, a private, profound bond that would carry them through life's uncertainties, a love born from grief, nurtured by compassion, and deepened by a shared journey of the two understanding souls. This is the end of chapter 10, to be continued.